All right, buckle up because today's deep dive is going to be a wild ride. We're taking on Brothers in Arms. We're talking French resistance in World War II, but with a twist.
Yeah, Martin Frankham, the author, he really throws you for a loop with this one.
Oh, tell me about it. Just when you think you've got World War II all figured out, Bam Frankham hits you with this reader's note right at the beginning.
It's like he's saying, hey, I'm going to blend fact and fiction here. You ready for it? As a history enthusiast, I was like, game on.
I hear ya. It's that what-if factor that sucks you in, right? Like, we know the broad strokes of history, but what about the individual stories, the ones that don't always make it into the textbooks? And that's where Brothers in Arms shines, especially this first story, La Maquis Celle la French Résistance.
Even the title sends shivers down your spine, you know?
No kidding. But before we get too deep into the trenches, so to speak, I think it's important to set the stage. For those who might not be as familiar, what exactly was the French resistance?
Right, so picture this. France, occupied by the Nazis, it's a dark time. But even in the darkest of times, hope finds a way. And that hope, that was the French resistance. Everyday people, from farmers to shopkeepers, teachers, you name it, they all banded together to fight back.
Talk about courage under fire, right?
Absolutely. They were risking their lives every single day, spying on the Nazis, sabotaging their operations, even helping Allied pilots escape. The resistance was a constant thorn in the side of the Germans.
And a lot of this story takes place in the Vercors region of France. Why is that significant?
Ah, the Vercors. Imagine this. Rugged mountains, dense forests, perfect terrain for waging a guerrilla war. It was like a natural fortress for the resistance, a place to regroup, plan their attacks, and just disappear into the landscape.
Okay, so we've got this incredible historical backdrop, but this book isn't just about battles and strategy, is it? At its heart, it's the story of two brothers, Markus and Charles Lefèvre. And Frankham doesn't pull any punches. He lets us know right away that these aren't your typical war heroes.
Not at all. These are men forged in the fires of World War I, specifically the Battle of Verdun. I mean, just saying Verdun to someone who knows military history, it sends chills down their spine, right?
Oh, absolutely.
That battle was beyond brutal, and for Markus and Charles, it wasn't just a battle, it was a crucible. It changed them. I mean, how could it not?
And you get the sense that those scars they carry, they run deeper than just skin deep. Especially for Markus, with that jagged scar on his face from the grenade blast.
Right. It's like a physical manifestation of the war's impact on him, a constant reminder of the horrors he's witnessed.
It's like their past is woven into the very fabric of who they are.
And that past, it's about to catch up with them in a big way.
You mentioned Verdun, and we know it's more than just a name in a history book for these brothers, but I gotta ask, what did that experience turn them into? How did it shape them beyond just being soldiers?
Well, imagine this. You're in the trenches at Verdun. Mud, blood, the constant threat of death hanging over you. You see things, hear things that nobody should ever have to experience. It changes a man.
And for Markus, it's not just metaphorical, right? I mean, that scar on his face from the grenade blast, that's a constant reminder.
Oh, absolutely. It's a physical manifestation of the war's impact. But it goes deeper than that. That scar represents a loss of innocence, a shattering of a sense of safety.
And then there's Charles. He was a medic at Verdun. Talk about a heavy burden to carry.
Can you imagine trying to save lives in the middle of that chaos, knowing you can't save them all?
The guilt, the what-ifs, those are scars you don't see but cut just as deep.
Exactly. And it's no wonder he becomes a teacher after the war, almost like he's trying to make amends, to nurture life instead of patching up death.
So we have Markus, forever marked by the physical and emotional wounds of war, and Charles battling his own demons. And what I find so compelling is that Frankham doesn't just throw us into the resistance with them, he gives us these glimpses of their lives before the war.
Right, like setting the scene before the storm hits.
Exactly. Markus, the grounded farmer, connected to the land. Charles, the idealistic teacher, trying to rebuild a peaceful world. Doesn't it make their decision to resist feel even more powerful?
Oh, absolutely. It's like their past is pulling them in different directions. Markus, drawn to the land, to simply surviving. And Charles, feeling this responsibility to fight for a better future.
And yet both of them choose to resist.
Because ultimately it's about protecting what they hold dear. Their family, their community, their way of life.
And it's not just about them, is it? They're part of something much bigger.
Exactly. The French resistance was all about community. Ordinary people coming together to fight back against oppression.
And the brothers are right there in the thick of it, supporting former students, supplying those in hiding. It's like their network of resistance becomes an extension of their own family.
which of course raises the stakes even higher.
And speaking of high stakes, this brings us to the Maquis cell itself, the heart of the resistance effort. This is where we meet some of the other key players, each with their own reasons for fighting, their own scars they carry.
And what a diverse group they are.
Oh, yeah. We've got Julien, who's consumed by vengeance after losing his family to the Nazis, and Suzanne, the nurse, a beacon of quiet strength in the midst of chaos. And then there's Eric.
Ah, yes. Eric.
He's the one who really piqued my interest. Tell me more about him.
Well, let's just say Eric is a bit of a wild card. Half German, trained by the British SAS. The SAS, we're talking elite special forces here.
The best of the best. He's a master of explosives, parachutes into their lives practically out of thin air. Talk about a game changer. You've got this incredible contrast between the grounded, gritty reality of the brothers and this almost mythical figure of Eric.
And then there's the mission itself, to destroy the Pont de la Liberté bridge.
This isn't just some random act of sabotage, right? This bridge is a lifeline for the Germans.
A vital supply line. Taking it out would be a major blow to the Nazi war machine.
High risk, high reward. Frankham really ratchets up the tension when he writes, "Our biggest gamble yet." I mean, you can feel the weight of the mission bearing down on them.
And then, late one night, Eric and Pierre, another member of the Maquis, they start fine-tuning the plan. It's like you can sense something big is about to go down.
So the stage is set. We've got this powder keg of a mission ready to blow. How does Frankham bring it all to life?
He drops us right into the action. We're talking late-night planning sessions, poring over maps by candlelight, the scrape of metal on metal as they practice setting explosives. You can practically smell the gun oil and sweat.
And you get the sense that Eric, with his S training, he's transforming the group.
Oh yeah, he's turning them into a well-oiled machine.
Right.
Each movement, precise, deadly. The stakes have never been higher.
And then there's this scene right before the mission. Markus and Charles, they overhear these German soldiers.
Casually talking about rounding up a Jewish family.
Like it's nothing.
Just another day's work. And you see this shift in Markus, the way Frankham describes it. It's chilling. The anger, the memories of his own past traumas, it all comes flooding back.
This is about more than just blowing up a bridge.
Way more. This is about justice, about fighting back against an unimaginable evil.
And then they reach the bridge. It's almost like you can feel the tension radiating off the pages.
The air is thick with it. Frankham does an amazing job with the sensory details, the tang of iron and river algae, the way the darkness presses in around them.
You're right there with them, hidden in the shadows. And just when you think things can't get any more intense, they discover him.
The lone German soldier.
Using the outhouse, right next to their detonation point.
Talk about a twist.
Right. Suddenly, it's not just about completing the mission, it's about a life.
This is where Frankham really digs deep into the moral dilemma of war. This soldier, he's the enemy, yes, but he's also just a young man caught in the crossfire.
And the fate of the mission, the lives of countless others, it hinges on what they decide to do.
Do they go through with it, knowing an innocent life might be lost? Or do they risk everything for one man?
Frankham doesn't give us easy answers. He leaves us hanging on that cliffhanger, forcing us to confront that impossible choice.
And that's the power of Brothers in Arms. It stays with you, makes you question everything. What would you do in that situation? Could you live with the consequences? Either way.
Powerful stuff.
It really makes you appreciate the sacrifices made by those in the resistance, the impossible choices they faced every single day.
Brothers in Arms, a story of courage, of brotherhood, and of the enduring power of the human spirit in the face of unimaginable darkness. If you're looking for a book that will stay with you long after you turn the final page, this is it.